Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hello to everyone watching live. Hello if you are watching the recording right now. And welcome to 100 Days of Code. It's day 36. 3 times 2 is 6. That's how I used to remember that number when I was little. So day 36 of 100 Days of Code. And we have the guest that keeps on giving. It's Leon Andersen. Leon, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Was fun to have more time today. Not as much as I wished, like probably just 4 to 6 hours. But that's way more than the rest of the week. And yeah, I spent too much time trying to build my function, my promise. And I was doing that. I couldn't find any fitting examples that were similar enough of stuff that Colt did with constructors. And I guess that will be the main part of today, and I would say we look into that after we talk about the rest of today. I spent quite some time doing typing training as well, because I'm still far away from being familiar with a QWERTY keyboard in terms of symbols. And that was a lot of fun. I love typing training. Making some progress, probably could be faster, but for the resources, for the energy I have, I guess I'm doing pretty well. And then I did the fetch and access homework, which was a little which was good to just redo and to know, okay, this is how it goes. It's not too complicated. It's it's what I'm trying to say. It's good to not just have seen it, having seen it in the videos, but also to do it myself as well. And yeah, there might be some things I didn't like, maybe some minor mistakes, but I think overall it should be all good. Yeah, and there were some questions about that came up in regards of the API that you gave me, the placeholder, JSON placeholder API, because they gave me most of the solution in their tutorial of how to use it, of how to use the API. So there was not that much that I had to do afterwards. Yeah, but it was a nice repetition, and yeah, I think maybe maybe let's talk about that before going into my promise exercise.
Well, you nailed the 2 post exercise and fetch exercises with the placeholder API. You nailed them. And if you say, hey, the website told me too much, well, now you've got the first taste of what it's like to be a developer too. Because when you work on something, very often you just have to read the documentation, of whatever service or package or framework that you're using. And very often it's anything that it's all that you need to figure out your problem and just solve it. So what you've experienced was part of the exercise. It was part that you experienced what it's like to actually solve problems in the real world. Because certain kinds of problems like these ones, you can just read about them and they're easy solved.
Awesome. Yeah, and as I said, it was a fun little repetition and way easier than the My Promise exercise. And so I also just very roughly started a new section now, which is on terminal, and this means now going towards the depth, towards the back end, and fetching and Axios and interacting with an API is also to me a little direction, and I'm very curious about all the dynamics and processes in that. So yeah, looking forward to the new section, and yeah, now to My Promise, I guess.
Sweet. So we talked a little bit prior to this stream about the exercise, right? And you're like, oh, I don't know. I don't really know how to solve it. So let's just go through it bit by bit. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to create a constructor that as its argument takes in a function, right? Because the promise constructor takes in a function. So let's start with the first step, which would be to just create a my promise constructor. My question to you is, how would you do that?
I would say function, My Promise, with capital letters, and then I would put inside of the brackets, I would put like I'm not sure if that's I would say it's probably similar to the way we did the dot map the custom mapping function, where we have to have a custom function inside of the function as an input. So ChatGPT called that the executor function. Maybe we can call it like that as well. Execute, yeah, basically. And then, well, what I knew so far. Okay, I mean, I guess you're guiding now, so I'll let you give me feedback first.
Yeah, there's one little bit of syntax here missing at the end, right? We need squeaky brackets. But yeah, that's perfect. So we just created a my promise constructor, right? And now we have to think about, okay, the my promise constructor gets a resolve and a reject function, right? So we have to think about, okay, how do we do this? How do we pass this to the executor function? Do you have any idea how you do that?
Well, the main way to build, or the main way that I've seen code doing the constructor function was this dot something equals something. So so I would say maybe how does it yeah, maybe use that to define the reject and resolve as promise.resolve and promise.reject. But I'm not sure if that actually works, because the this relates to the instance of, or relates to one of the promises that we create with the My Promise constructor. So if it relates to the input if it can relate to the input of the executor function. So I guess that's not the case.
Yes, exactly. That's not what we want to do. So my hint for you right now would be think about this function right now, not in terms of a constructor, but now switch your thinking over to what you've learned from regular functions, right? Because remember yesterday we said, hey, every single function actually has a prototype property, which means every single function is technically also a constructor, right? It gets the lines get a little blurry here. So in order to fulfill this exercise, you have to now mix in your general knowledge about functions. So let's say we want this function to return a promise. How would you do that?
I mean, if I would just want to return a usual promise, I would say return new promise.
Okay. So we can go step by step. Okay. The correct thing that you need here is the return keyword, right? But then now we need to combine basically the setup plus the hints. So the first hint or the only hint that you also got was to use promise resolve and promise.reject. Right. And these basically take whatever argument you give them and immediately either resolve or reject with a promise. So for example, const my thing equals to promise.resolve of 2 is just a promise that resolves with 2, right? So this is the equivalent of writing const my thing equals the new promise resolve, and then we resolve with 2. And similarly for the reject function, just switch basically here these two out with reject. So you know that you can basically, yeah, and the behavior that we want to emulate is that this function right here takes in resolve and reject, right? So those are my two hints. So you want to return a promise, and the executor function should somehow take in resolve and reject. And the hint is you want to use these two helper methods.
So you have to return the executor function and somehow make that the executor function uses the promise.resolve and promise.reject inside.
How would you do that?
Maybe putting it inside of the brackets, not the curly brackets, but inside of the normal brackets of the executor function.
So you mean like this, like this? Or what do you mean?
Yeah, I meant that, but I'm not sure because the colors are don't look like they will work.
Let's see what happens. So let's say
so my thought was
my thing equals to new my promise, and we say just we take in resolve and reject, and then we say we resolve with 2. If identifier my thing has already been declared, which makes sense. So result maybe comes result promise resolve called a non-object.
so yeah, that's an error. I don't know, but
Me neither. I'm trying to figure out because in my mind this should work.
okay.
But let's see what could be the error here.
Maybe it needs curly brackets afterwards.
Curly brackets? You mean this?
Between
not needed.
No. In line 83, in between the semicolon and the bracket at the end.
No. Well, that wouldn't be done in JavaScript.
like an open and a closed one.
Yeah, you want to put it here, right? Here?
I'm not seeing anything. Yeah, I want an open and a
This wouldn't be
closed.
valid JavaScript.
No? Okay.
Well, uh,
Why not? Isn't that okay, because there's return in front. No.
because this is not how you define a function. So the curly brackets basically have to come with the function definition, right? And this is not a function definition.
Okay, so we only use them with the. Did I understand that correctly? That we only use the curly brackets when we define a function?
Yes, but you can also, like, there's also the concept of just scope. So you can have scope like this that is just defined when you do curly brackets. So this is that a JavaScript right here. And now full is only defined in the context of this, but this is very,
Okay.
like, even though it's a very simple concept, it's super advanced. Like, most developers don't know that you can do this.
Okay. Okay,
So
but I
it's
guess
also,
I know
a
what
way
you.
of saying it's highly irrelevant for our use case because, yeah,
Okay.
pretty much you're never going to use it.
Yes.
I think let's try this. To resolve value, we do this, and then we say to resolve value, and we say to reject. It's already passing, but to reject value because we're not using the second argument to reject value. And I think what's happening here. So let's see if we can log out. We can take the result, but then console.log. And let's see what's happening. So we should see a 2 here. Here's the 2. Yeah, perfect. So this works now. Okay. So, yeah, I didn't know that you cannot pass these just in as we did in the beginning. You have to basically pass them in. You have to basically define them new as a function here. And the reason why you have to do that, and by the way, as I said when I gave you the exercise, that I basically came up with the exercise on the spot. So we kind of solved it on the spot too. I have it not together. This was the first time I ever gave out this exercise. But basically, let's okay, before I walk you through it, let's just start with any freestyle questions that you have. Is there anything that you don't understand about this? Does this make sense? What was your mind saying right now?
My mind is, or yeah, so the biggest trouble I had was trying to understand the whole structure, what nested, what gets included, and what gets, and like I knew some of the elements, but I didn't know in which structure they belong together. But also, I have to say, I tried to force myself to do that when I was very tired. So maybe that's part of it as well. Now it came quite fast to me, but it also helps to have to have your immediate feedback. Yeah, I mean, exercises like this where I don't know similar, where I haven't seen similar syntax before are quite hard, have been quite hard so far. So I guess that's, yeah. How do I say it? Yeah, I mean, I guess that's just how it is. And it makes some sense now, but I would say that I still fully get the process, like how I would get to this solution faster and clearer. Like the whole thinking process of how to know what to what has in which scope and which in like to me it was also very unclear, like what is the function, what is the what can I do inside of a constructor function, because the I've seen so far was dot this r equals r dot this b g, like an exercise with colors, like dot this dot something was used. So I didn't know that I can put a function inside of that. So the only that a function was used before or that was used instead of a constructor function was was outside of the constructor function when called how do you say it, defined how do I say it, some methods that are part of the function. So basically my promise dot prototype dot method and then function. That was the only place I actually seen functions in the context of constructor functions. So I was confused, like what can I even do inside of this? Can I just assign values, or what is? So yeah, I guess that comes with more I would love to have some clearer process on how to solve these kind of questions faster, but these kind of exercises faster. But I guess yeah, that's the most important thing is, I guess, exposure. But yeah, this is what's on my brain after this.
Got it. So yeah, so you're absolutely right. Like exposure is key, because if you're more exposed to the language, you will understand it just more easily, right? You just haven't seen quote unquote as many sentences, and the more sentences you see that are correct, you will start to understand the underlying patterns. One, second of all, I get that. I think for me as a teacher, a good feedback is like even very important is in the beginning to have exercises that are somehow like for which you have seen the solution in some shape or form before, so that you can do more mimicking. The only problem was with this particular exercise that there's only one of this kind, right? You can only like imitate the problems once, and once you've seen that, there's nothing new there. It's different to like the exercises which we did with, for example, the custom map function also, because I can show you the custom map function, and then the filter function is pretty much the same, but with some slight tweaks. And the reducer function is pretty much the same, but with slight tweaks. So it's easier to infer, I guess, there to something a little bit new than here, where you just have to combine as like knowledge that is from different fields. Like one field was the constructor knowledge, and the other field was your regular function knowledge. So I can see how this exercise was particularly hard. That being said, as you
and
said
also
yourself,
promise knowledge, because I didn't know what of the promise. I knew that I don't have to use it, but I wasn't sure. Like I only knew that part of it is promise.resolve, not how much of it. So I was like, okay, what of the promise stuff do I have to do? Some if statements where in case of rejection, then is also like how much stuff do I have to do there? And
yeah.
like
But now
three.
the objective of the exercise was, because the question that made me come up with this exercise, right, was, hey, why do I pass in a function here? And does this now make more sense? Like, does this clear up at least this question in hindsight?
You mean why we pass in functions into promises?
Yes, because that was your main question that you had. And I was like, okay, maybe this exercise can teach you why you do that.
Yes, yes, this is. Um, okay, that's a good point. Let me think about it from this way. So function is put in. Mm, I mean, it's basically just a promise wrapped inside of a constructor, another constructor function. So it's I don't know what. Mm, I mean, I do understand that we need the resolve and the reject, and that we need space to have custom async. And I guess that's the biggest lesson of it, that it's not a very that the only thing predefined is that it has a resolve and reject, but everything else can be custom. Is that what
Yeah,
it's pointing
you,
to?
you, you're on the completely right track. So let me explain it in my words because I think you explained it already correctly. And I'm going to explain it again, and then maybe that will help you to solidify the knowledge even more. But it really feels like you already grasped it. Just if I would like have to explain it to you from scratch, you would then imagine you have a function that is called um, function call with first and last name, right? So this is a function that takes in a function and calls that function with the first and last name. And so this is a function that takes in function and calls it with a specific first and last name. So let's say we have first name is Aleph, and then we have last name is nil, and it takes in a function. Let's call it fn, so we're not overloading the function keyword, and then we just say fn first name and last name, right? And a function for that this could make sense for, even though like technically this is not good programming, but this is more about illustrating the point right now. So let's say with a function greet, and it takes in a first name and a last name, and then it returns or it console.logs what logs hello first name and last name. And now we can say call with first and last name, greet. And here it says no hello I live nil, which is exactly what we expect. So far, so good. So the next thing is, and this is exactly the what you basically captured. What if we want to put something in somewhere where the user can then call on functions? So let's say we have a function that is called with a function mathematic operation. And if the user wants to use the mathematic operation, they can either use an addition or a subtraction. So let's say our operation function here, and then we say const L equals to A, B, A plus B, or we can say const, let's say multiplication equals to A, B, A times B. And then we just call the operation function with add and multiplication. So now I can say, hey, I want to do my mathematics operation, but I want to do it with the addition function. So I can just grab the add function here, and I can just grab the functions here, add function, and we can say add of 2 and 3, then we console.log that here, like this. So we have a 5 here, which is what we expect, right? Or what we could do is we could not grab the add function, we could grab the multiply function, for example, multiply, and we say multiply here, and 3 is 6, which is what we expect. So it's basically about giving the user exact control over what to call and with what arguments. And we could even do fancy stuff in here, like if, I don't know, let's say these arguments are defined outside of something. We could have, hey, if this case, then we add. If this other case, then we multiply. Similar to how in your promise constructor, you can say, hey, if this is the case, then result. If this is the case, then reject. And this granular, giving the user of your code, this granular control is basically the point of the API of result and reject. That is why it's taking in a function, so the user can add some additional logic to decide when it should resolve and when it should reject.
Similar to map to the custom mapping function.
Exactly, yes.
Nice. Yeah, actually, my intuition was to define resolve and reject in const like before, because that's the usual pattern I know, just as you did with the call with first and last name, and then put in a function. But ChatGPT said no, I didn't know in what way the operator functions do that kind of stuff, and in the end we didn't have to, as it seems. But my intuition was to do it like you do it with the call with first and last name, to first set, resolve and reject, and then put in a function afterwards, like the executor function. But like on my way there, I asked if I'm on the right track, and it's I used the this dot resolve equals promise dot resolve, and that was just too many things mixed up. Even though I was going after a pattern that in a normal function would be useful, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. Just some random thoughts on that.
Nice. Cool. So glad that cleared up. I hope that helped a little bit, even if it cost some time. I hope this helped you to understand promises even more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, and also custom function making. I mean, I'm curious how the would do the do it without promise dot. I mean, that's probably too much for my knowledge.
Well, if you can implement your own everything, but yeah, I do think it would be too hard for you as of now, which is why I gave you the hint, hey, just use promise behind the scenes. If you want to, we can try to do it live on stream now if you're curious. But I think maybe I should be the driver, because like getting you there through asking questions, I think would take too long at this point. So if you're interested, we can do it. Or you say, no, I want to look at it myself later. Because again, this is one of those exercises, like once you do it, you cannot unsee it, right? And so therefore you can either say, okay, I want to figure that out my own at some point, or you can say, no, I just want to look at the solution. So I've seen it once, I understand it, like I don't need to figure it out for myself. I just want to have the knowledge. You can decide basically.
I mean, I'm basically just curious about the basic structure. I guess we would have to use an executor function as well and
Yes.
return that, and then we would have to do, like, for all the different cases, like resolve, reject, we would probably have to define them with some if statements, and like using return and yeah, for each individual case, probably a different if statement or similar, and then
Well, in the case of implementing it, if you want to really completely implement your own promise, you don't even need a return.
okay.
Obviously, there are different ways to do it, right? But I think the one that would be most closest to how promise is actually implemented in libraries that promisify stuff, so-called polyfills, but you will get to those stuff too. It's implemented without return, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if statements, are if statements
Yeah,
in there?
quite a few statements in there. Yes.
Okay, for all the different cases. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then but would there be a return of the execute function or not even
Oh, no,
like
you would do it all via callbacks. I mean, promises were introduced to avoid callback hell, right? But the first promises had to be implemented using callback hell so that other people no longer would need it.
Got it. Okay, now I can visualize a bit of the structure. That makes, yeah. But aren't there like so many different cases that you can't really put them all into one function? I mean,
No,
I guess
it's just three, basically. Because the promise can only have three states. Fulfilled,
I got it.
rejected, and pending.
And how do I put, like, how do I create like that dot then functions? Do I do it with
You would attach it to the prototype,
promise
just
dot
like you saw it called you.
promise dot proto dot then?
Yeah, prototype would then.
Yeah, exactly. Proto. Okay, yeah. Okay. So if statements for the different states of the promise, and for the methods, yeah, basically dot prototype.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Is there anything else that's crucial, or is that the
Well,
gist of this?
again, as I said, there are many different ways to implement this.
Got it.
Because yeah, you can, for example, attach some stuff to this. You can create some of the variables just inside of the closure using const. Right? There are different ways to skin a cow, basically.
But the basic elements are those I described, or the basic things that have to be covered.
Yes, but technically, I don't want to confuse you, but technically speaking, there would also be a way to implement it without using the prototype.ben, even though the most mainstream quote-unquote implementation would definitely do that.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I guess then
But that's also maybe that's a good tip for you to just internalize is when you want to create something, like don't really think about, okay, what was it, what Cold was doing or what LFNil was doing or what you've been doing before. Think about it more like what do I want to achieve? And then think about the tools that you have available and does that tool fulfill that job or does it not fulfill that job?
Okay. I mean, I haven't seen anything that can create a method other than that.
But if you only have one tool, then it is that tool, obviously. Yes.
Pardon?
If you only have seen one way to do it, but if you only have one tool to stay in the metaphor, then you obviously have to use the only tool that you have. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's enough. I mean, that's that was great enough. have a little bit of an understanding of the structure or overview of how it would be done.
Awesome. Then, yeah, you said next time we're probably gonna jump into servers, right? And that server code.
I mean, terminal is the
Terminal. Okay, got it. Nice.
changing directories, relative absolute paths, making directories. I guess that's not that. As far as I understand it so far, that's not going to be highly complex. Just a new way of accessing
Yeah,
deeper.
will be no way of using your computer.
Yes.
Basically, the hacker way. Nice. Thanks everyone for watching. If you have any questions, you can always just weigh in with your own comments. We will always answer them live. And as you see, we let me just share it real briefly. Right now, Liam is going through this course. It's again on offer on discount, just $14.99 right now. So grab it if you haven't, if you want to learn how to code, or if you're very early in the coding journey. These streams are for you. Because many have study buddies and a free mentor that can guide you, answer your questions that you might have, and help you get better in coding. And also someone that holds you accountable and basically goes through this coding journey with you, which is, Leon. And that's it. We've been day 36 of 100 days of code, just keeping the habit alive. I mean, today was a really big day. We got quite a bit of progress in, quite a bit of understanding in. Thank you everyone for watching. We're streaming daily. And this has been the Code Call with
Leon Andersen and my mentor,
Alex Nil from Panic Dev. Keep coding, ADC.
Bye bye. Let's go.